the MLB Award Races. So starting with what we got here, this is according to CBS Sports, as they kick it off right here with the AL MVP. They say Mike Trout is the American League MVP. He's batting .301, 71 runs scored, 28 home runs, 67 RBIs, 8 stolen bases. And then the other guys that are mentioned in this are Alex Bregman, having a great year, DJ LeMahieu, and Matt Chapman. Are any of those guys, other than Mike Trout, obviously the favorite here, and I think deservingly so, if you would say any of those other guys I mentioned, maybe somebody that's not even on here, do you think anybody else is going to take the MVP crown for Mike Trout this year?
Probably not, especially if the Angels stay. They're kind of relevant right now. They're in the hunt. They're not far out of the wild card, so I'd say at this point no. But I do think LeMahieu's not given enough love because the Yankees lost everybody except for LeMahieu, and they stayed afloat. So I think his true value is huge. But right now, it's Trout unless he gets injured.
Yeah, I'm not, as much as I love DJ LeMahieu, what he has done this year. And if you look at his numbers, he's 12 home runs, 65 RBIs, has scored over 60 times as well, leads the American League in batting average. I think he should definitely be in the discussion and should be taken very seriously. You look at what he does with runners in scoring position, especially with 2 outs.
Right.
I mean, his batting average is like .468 in those situations. He's very, very good. The team's having a lot of success, as you mentioned, with all the injuries. They did more than stay afloat. They expanded their lead with a lot of their main guys on the injured list. So, I mean, Bregman also deserves a lot of recognition. I think Bregman and LeMahieu you can really talk about here, but at the end of the day, Mike Trout's the man.
Right.
I mean, that's the best baseball player. I mean, that guy is a complete stud. In the American League for the Cy Young, they believe it's Mike Minor of the Texas Rangers. Again, this is a sneaky team that's kind of came up on you, and Mike Minor has been very good this year. A 2.54 ERA and 117 innings pitched, 114 strikeouts to 41 walks. He has been lights out. Other names that are included are on the watch is Charlie Morton of the Rays, Justin Verlander of the Astros, and then Giolito of the White Sox. Mike Minor has been good. He's been very good. Not a guy that you typically see in this discussion here. Is he the guy that you think wins it at the end of the year?
I think it's Verlander. I think Verlander's probably the guy, and Giolito would actually probably be my number 2 because the White Sox are so not as good as some of these other teams. But
if they had a team like some of these guys, who knows how good it's done because he's been that good this year.
Right.
And he's pitching well and winning right now with the White Sox. So
Minor's doing it in the hitter's park too. So that's good for him. But I'd lean toward Verlander.
I don't want to say Minor doesn't deserve it.
Right.
But if I had to pick from this list, I would make a strong case for Charlie Morton. I mean, he has been close to unhittable in Tampa. I mean, he has great stuff, good fastball, good splitter, and loves to throw his curveball, really throws that curveball off his fastball. So if I had to make the case, Verlander is a little bit out for me, even though he's a stud.
Right.
If it's Game 7 and I had to throw out a pitcher, more than likely going to send somebody out like Verlander. Yep. No question about it. But Verlander has given up 26 home runs this year.
Right.
So if I had to take, I think Charlie Morton has been so good for the Rays. And gosh, if
10-2,
if Houston kept a hold of him, you ain't touching Houston.
Right.
I mean, they're still good. Don't get me wrong. They're still a World Series contender. But if you add Charlie Morton in that rotation,
it'd be the Houston Cy Young Award race.
It'd be like the Golden State Warriors in the MLB. They would be rolling through everybody. You can't hit them. You can't hit Garrett Cole. You can't hit Verlander. You can't hit Charlie Morton. So what a pickup that was for the Rays. And he has really given them where they don't have to go. Right now they've had to because they've had some injuries to their starting rotation. But for the first time in a couple of years, they got 5 starters they can go to. They don't have to go to that opener like we have seen. And they have been cutting back on going to an opener. So that would be, if I had to say, I think Charlie Morton has been the guy. All right, so the American League Rookie of the Year. Right now, they're saying Brandon Lowe. Lowe's having a very good year. I will say this is one of the boring races in baseball. The American League does not really have. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has not been great. He's kind of been up and down here. So it has not quite been the most interesting award race. Brandon Lowe is batting .276, 40 runs, 16 home runs, 49 RBIs, 5 stolen bases. John Means of the Orioles is in this discussion. Spencer Turnbull, is in this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Means got roughed up in his last start. No, that was Bundy. Never mind. That was Bundy that pitched yesterday where he gave up like 7 earned runs in 2 innings. But yeah, this one, not much discussion here. Honestly, I don't care who wins the American League Rookie of the Year. I'm going to be honest. If
Blow was in the NL, he probably wouldn't even be in the top 5.
Right.
Definitely not in the top 2 or 3.
Yeah, this one is whatever. The Manager of the Year award in the American League, they think is Rocco Baldelli of the Minnesota Twins, Chris Woodward of the Rangers, and Aaron Boone are in that discussion for it. All pretty good. All can win it. All certainly can win it.
What's his name?
Kevin Cash.
He
gets no love. Yeah, he should be included as well.
I think he should be definitely included.
I agree. Honestly, I would give him the award over anybody.
Right. I think so.
I'll give Boone a lot of credit, like I have. He's had to do a lot around injuries, but I think, you got to put Cash in that discussion. Any of these 4 guys are having a great year. The Rangers, who would have thought they would be in the playoff discussion? I can't name 5 people in their lineup. And Rocco Baldelli, I think this is his first year. And if I'm not mistaken, taking over, and he's done a great job. The Twins are in first place. If Caleb was here, he would tell us he picked the Twins. We know. We know. Now we jump into the National League, and this is the National League award races are just fantastic.
Great, yeah.
I mean, they really are. There's a few good ones in the American League, but there's nothing like it. And that's what I mean, like at the All-Star game this year, I really felt like the National League is gaining. Right. Because, I mean, you look at great players that are playing. This is a tight MVP race. All right. They have Cody Bellinger, the favorite to win it, batting .336, 70 runs, 30 home runs, 71 ribbies, and 8 stolen bases. They have also included, and when you look at the list compared to the American League, there's like 3 or 4 guys, right? 3 guys that are mentioned in the American League. It's like 7 guys on this list that are worth mentioning
right.
in the National League. Cody Bellinger leading it, but Christian Yelich, Javier Baez, Josh Bell, Wilson Contreras, Ketel Marte, and Max Scherzer. I mean, that's a pretty darn good MVP race.
Really good MVP race.
I can't pick. If I had to pick right now, Cody Bellinger has been that guy this year. He's just been incredible. Yelich is right there again, knocking on his 2nd straight one. Javier Baez is a complete stud, and every time I watch Javier Baez, I say, what if they, and it worked out for them. They made the trade for Chapman. They win a World Series. But what if they never made that trade and their middle infielders would have been Javier Baez and Gleyber Torres?
That'd be nuts.
I want to watch those 2 play together. I do. I absolutely want to see those guys play together. They'd be mashing home runs left and right. That would be a deadly combination up the middle for them.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
I would love to see that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Happy Torres is with the Yankees, but I can't help but think, what if they never made that trade and Baez and Torres on the same team?
That'd be nuts.
That's pretty special.
That'd be nuts.
That would be fun.
This race, any of 5, 6, or 7 guys can win that, but I think it's going to come down to Bellinger, Yelich, and you got Bell as the fringe guy.
I think those 3 guys.
But I'd lean Bellinger right now.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so the Cy Young is Rue from the Dodgers, however you want to pronounce that. Rue, yeah, we'll go with that. I can't, Hinju Rue, whatever. He plays for the Dodgers, and he pitched in the All-Star game, started pitcher, played very well, as a 1.73 ERA, 109 innings pitched, 99 strikeouts to 10 walks. That's really impressive, that ratio right there. That's getting it done. I mean, without question, he's been the best pitcher in the National League. But there's so many good pitchers, including Scherzer, who, by the way, is just heating up right now, and the Nationals are heating up. And beginning of the year, he was okay.
Right.
You know what
Now
I
he's
mean?
taking
But
off.
now it's back to you're not touching them. My cousin, Luis Castillo from the Reds, who I'm not related to at all, but we have the same last name, so I'm going to claim him. He's in this discussion. He's in the discussion with the Reds, okay?
Right.
That got a little bit of offense.
Good, yeah.
That's doing something. They do have a little bit of offense, but still, it's the Reds. All right, they're not a powerhouse.
Right.
He's in this discussion. Not bad at all. And then Walker Buehler, who hasn't taken a day off. Ha ha.
Zach
see
Greinke's
that?
having a good year. He could be a guy.
Greinke's been hot as of late. I think he's a guy that comes into this conversation.
He could be a piece of the trade deadline.
Yeah, if he's a piece of the trade deadline, and deals for that contender, he can easily be jumped up here. But I think Rue gets it.
Yeah, Rue's
just
been the clear guy right now.
I mean, he has Kershaw numbers right now.
Right.
And Kershaw hasn't pitched bad, but he's pitching like Kershaw.
Kershaw be in the number 2 spot in the rotation,
right?
Come playoff time,
right? And I think that's probably better because Kershaw hasn't pitched very well in the postseason,
right.
So maybe that takes a little pressure off
right.
him. So this to me is the most fascinating race that I can't stop looking at it and wanting to watch it because it's so good. And there's the guys that are not even on this list that you could make a case for because I just have a few guys, but rookie of the year. Right now, they have Pete Alonso winning it, batting .280, 57 runs scored, 30 home runs, 68 RBIs, 1 stolen base. Fernando Tatis Jr. is on this list. Mike Soroka is also on this list. They don't have Austin Riley, but you might as well throw him in there as well. Yeah, I think Austin Riley has been a big pickup for the Braves. I think ever since they called him up, he added that life to that team.
Right.
There's little stretches here and there where he cools off a little bit, but he's hit big hits after big hits. Chris Paddock of San Diego, I think, should be mentioned in this as well. To me, I think it comes down to Pete Alonso and Mike Soroka. Soroka has been so good, and I think he should get more acknowledgement than what he has here because he's been doing this since the start of the season. Since his very first start, he's been dealing. I think somebody like Austin Riley is not going to be in the discussion because he got called up a little bit later.
Right.
And Pete Alonso is tearing the cover off since day one. I will lean towards Pete Alonso, but I do think Mike Soroka is right there. I don't think it's that far apart. Pete Alonso has been good, but I also try to look at team success as well, and the Braves are having a lot of it. The Mets aren't. Soroka should be right there. I think they're going to give it to the offensive guy. That's typically what happens. Mm-hmm. But I think Soroka deserves it. But I do think Pete Alonso wins it.
Yeah, I lean toward Alonso. I mean, the dude's got 30 home runs at the All-Star break. That's good for a veteran.
Yeah, he could pass Judge's record for most home runs by a rookie.
So, I mean, he's looking at probably 55-plus home runs if he stays on the same trend. It's just nuts.
And then the final award race here to keep an eye on is the National League Manager of the Year. Right now they have Dave Roberts of the Dodgers. And then Brian Snitker of the Braves. Of course, he should absolutely be there. Dave Martinez of the Nationals, I think, is another one. Andy Green of the Padres. So that's, again, the Manager of the Year, you could give it to a lot of people. Dave Roberts has had this team for a few years. The Dodgers have been winning. I don't know if he's won one yet. If he hasn't won one yet, he deserves one. Because the Dodgers have clearly been the best team in the National League for the last several years. But, how many people had the Braves winning the division this year?
Right.
It's not wrapped up, of course. There's still some time. There's still plenty of baseball left. But we got Brave fans here that I even talked to, and some of the players around here, again, that didn't really know if the Braves were going to be able to repeat what they did last year and be they figured a wild card if they make the playoffs. Right. But we have a lot of people that made predictions the Braves are out.
Right.
That they're not going to be in. Yet they're winning the division. Pretty impressive. I think Snitker absolutely deserves some recognition, and I would lean towards him because the Dodgers are going to win.
Roberts would be like my third guy.
Right.
Their team is so deep anyway. He should be in first place.
I think he should have probably already won one. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think if he hasn't, it's a little stupid, but the best managing job, he's got a good team. He does a good job managing them and puts the guys in and puts him in position to be well. But I'm with you. I don't. He's not my number one. He's not my number one.
I'd probably have him at 4. I mean, you got Dave Martinez.
He's right there at the top with me right now.
He had a little adversity this season, and he got that team. And then Andy Green, San Diego.
They've been up and down a little bit, but they're improving.
Right at 500. Right. I mean,
and they got a great minor league system. Right. So they're about to I think San Diego is going to be a pretty interesting team to keep an eye on in the next couple of years. But with that being said, we are going to jump to a break, move away from this fun race discussion, man, because I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep my eye on it because, especially, like I said, in the National League, there are some interesting races.
Right, there are.
In the American League, there's a few. But, I mean, that MVP, the Cy Young,
the Rookie of the
Year is my favorite one to watch because I think Soroka has been just stud, just a complete stud. But Alonso has been great as well. And then there's guys that, out in San Diego, Tatis Jr. has been pretty good himself. I haven't seen a whole lot of him. I've seen a little bit of him, and he's a ball player.
Batting like 330.
Yeah, he's a ball player. I haven't physically seen him a whole lot, though, with him being on the West Coast. But, this is an interesting race here, and all I know is somebody's not going to win and somebody's going to be a little disappointed.
Yep.
You're going to have like, oh, this guy was snubbed. That's going to be a discussion at the end of the year. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how all this works out. But we are going to take a break. When we come back, you know what? I can't hold it in no more. It's time to start talking about some high school football.
Yeah.
We're going to get into a little bit of a discussion about the upcoming season. What are we looking forward to the most of the upcoming high school season? Some of the storylines, headlines here. And we'll get into that coming up just after the short break. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Report here on Fox Sports 1400.